The Minnesota Vikings and Atlanta Falcons are moving in opposite direction. The Falcons have lost 3 straight, while Minnesota has won 5 in a row. Jay, our resident NFC North expert, give us your breakdown of this matchup.
Atlanta's in trouble. They've lost 3 in a row, and they've lost confidence in their quarterback, it looks like. The receivers aren't really getting a lot of separation. Kirk has thrown 100 passes the last 3 games, has not thrown a touchdown, but he has thrown 6 interceptions. And defensively, they're not good enough to overcome that. They have to get more production out of the passing game. They got to get more production from Bijan, obviously. He's a great player. Just right now, it's not meshing offensively. The run game, the play actions, what Kirk is really good at, they're not really getting to him. The true drop back game, the concepts aren't meshing for what Kirk's used to. The receivers aren't coming in out of their breaks. They're not sharp. Kirk is a perfectionist. If you don't run a perfect route and he throws a ball and he's expecting you to come back, you don't come back and it's picked, Kirk will get frustrated. And I think that's where he's at right now. So they got to get on the same page. Zach Robinson is his first time calling plays. Kirk, the receiving room, they got to get together, get on the same page. And hey, we got to be detailed on what we do, because right now we're not detailed. And Kirk is taking a blunt of the criticism, as well he probably should on most of them, but some of them aren't his fault. So let's get together. Let's get our act together, because we are in first place. We got everything in front of us, but we can't turn the ball over, and we got to be more disciplined in what we do. Minnesota, on the other hand, they're a good football team. They win a lot of close games, and there's nothing wrong with that. Winning is not a problem, all right? It's okay if you win by a point, 2 points, last-minute field goal, a block kick. However you win. But the issue is I think their defense is starting to leak oil a little bit. They've given up 400 yards 3 or 4 times in the last 4 games, and they got to play better on defense, and they got to protect Sam Darnold a little bit better. I think Cam Robinson's got to do better at left tackle, and they got to do a little bit better with some max protection and try to get the ball out a little bit quicker, get the ball to Justin. Aaron Jones has got to protect the damn ball. You can't fumble twice, drop a pass, fumble 2 weeks ago against the Jaguars. So ball security for them is important. Playing better defense is important. And, of course, Atlanta, get more production from their passing game. Will be critical. I think it's going to be a very good game, but I think right now Minnesota has too many horses.
They definitely have some horses. The Falcons, on the other hand, are looking for some ponies right now. They've scored 17, 6, 13 in the last 3 games. AQ, what is going on with this Falcons offense?
Yeah, I think Jay nailed a lot of it, to be honest with you. I mean, I turn on this film and it's just they've gotten away from what they do best. We talked about it after week 1, right? You look at week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're doing stuff that they just normally don't do over the last couple of years, and they weren't great at it, and they're trying to do all this drop back stuff. That's just not what they're great at. It starts with the run game, right? It starts with everything they do in the run game is everything that controls their offense, right? They want to get that zone game going. They want to get Bijan going. They want to get Algier going. They want to get all these guys going in the run game. And once you get downhill and you're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 a pop, Jay said it a billion times. He loves the play action. Kirk is great at the play action. Now you can get the play action going. You can get all these timing routes over the middle, the deep balls, whatever it may be off of the play action, but it all starts with the run game, and they haven't been able to do that. Bijan is a monster. He's getting some touchdowns, but they're just not hammering the run game. You're not seeing the 200-yard game you saw against Carolina when they just hammer the shit out of the run game. They got great scheme. They got great blocking from the guys up front, and then their entire offense clicks off of that.
For sure. And so everything really ends up falling on Kirk's shoulders. And Kirk has thrown 6 interceptions, no touchdowns in his last 3 games. Cole, what are you seeing from Kirk on film to say what has changed? I mean, he had a 500-yard, 4-touchdown performance earlier in the year. How have we gone from the highest of highs to a pretty low?
Yeah, he was the first one this year to throw for 500 yards in a game. You know, that I know that this offense can do it. I love Zach Robinson. Used to compete against him back in college 4 times, 4-0, baby. But here's the deal that nobody's talking about. They're not talking about Kirk Cousins playing his old team. Listen, this dude knows the ins and outs of Brian Flores' defense. He knows all those crazy pressures and structures. He knows how to formation things to get certain tells. He knows when to bring in an extra guy for protection. Kirk's a smart dude. I think Kirk's going to get back on track this week. You don't think he has a little revenge game in the back of his mind with Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings? They let him go. And he went down to Atlanta. He struggled the last 3 weeks. But listen, they're sitting 6-6. They're leading their division. Okay, they've slipped up. It's always the next week in the NFL. What can we do this week? And I know that Kirk has had this game circled for a long time, going up against his old boys. He knows these dudes. He knows who to attack, and I think he's going to come out firing. Drake London, Pitts, getting these guys involved early. I think that this is a big game for the Falcons. They're sitting atop their division. Kirk needs a bounce-back game, and what better way to get it than against your old team, old coaches, Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, revenge games are a real thing, Jay. You saw Jerry Jeudy last night. What did you have to add to that?
I thought Pitts was hurt. I mean, he hadn't showed up in the last month. I have no idea where he goes. He just disappears. He ought to be a magician. Houdini. Let's call him Houdini Pitts.
Houdini Pitts is, we're going to have to get this thing figured out. But you know who's not disappearing? This channel. This channel and all this great content we're going to keep putting out there. We're going to be here week in and week out. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like all of our content, turn the notifications on. If you like seeing all these smiling faces giving you the best football content on the internet, subscribe, like, set notifications right now. All right, I have to ask this question, and Jay, I'm going to go to you first. I kind of want to get everyone's opinion on this. Kirk Cousins was brought to Atlanta. He was paid, a lot of money to come there and be the starting quarterback. They go out and draft Michael Penix Jr. in the first round. Kirk has built up no rapport amongst his teammates. He is, he hasn't shown who he is as a human being, who he is as a leader. Some people are calling for Kirk Cousins to go to the bench and Michael Penix Jr. to come in and start. Colt, I've already seen the reactions. How do you feel about these murmurs?
Haven't you seen his pregame hype speeches to his teammates?
They're the worst. They're the worst. Oh my God.
Tell me that wouldn't fire you up.
It would do the opposite of that.
These are nauseating. I just have to point that out.
Unless they're Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston has the best. But I'm saying and Aaron Rodgers, when they drafted Jordan Love to replace him, everyone knew who Aaron was. You get to Atlanta, no one knows who Kirk Cousins is yet. Michael Penix Jr. comes in. He doesn't have any rapport with the city. The city, he hasn't won them any big games. Is it fair or foul that they're already asking for Penix to come in the game, Colt?
Oh, I thought you were going to Jay with this one. No, I mean, listen, Kirk is a really solid quarterback. Jay mentioned it. His game is a perfectionist. When he knows what the route is and when he knows where the break is and he can throw that ball on time, I mean, he is one of the most accurate guys I've ever been around. They just look like on offense over the last several weeks, timing's off. He's getting hit a little bit. AQ mentioned it. They haven't got much in the run game. Kirk is a really good quarterback. Play actions are his specialty. Getting him on the move. Maybe his Achilles early in the season wouldn't allowed him to doing that. Maybe he's sore. I don't know. But I don't think the move right now is just throw Penix in. There's, like I said earlier, they're 6-6. That division stinks. And they're sitting atop. This game matters a bunch to them. They've got to get rid of these last bad performances over the last 3 weeks. And if they want to do that, Kirk's got to go out there and play well. I think he will this week. Again, for the same reasons I mentioned. This one matters to him. I promise you.
Does anyone disagree with that statement? Are we all riding with Kirk Cousins? There's no reason he should go to the bench?
Yeah, I'm riding with that. I mean, hell, I haven't seen enough of Michael Penix to throw him in here when you're 6-6 in first place in the division. I'm not going to throw in a rookie. Hey, go on. Okay, good luck. No, hell no. I'm going with Kirk. Let's go.
I think there is some general excitement for Michael Penix, though. I mean, he was the 8th pick in the draft. The dude can spin it. I think it's just natural for people to kind of, to just keep throwing that out there. But I think their plan is set. Kirk's our guy. Let us finish this out. I mean, who thought they would be 6-6 atop the division right now? Raise your hand. Really?
I did pick the Falcons to win the NFC South. It's a bad division, but Tampa Bay, who AQ Shipley probably would say is the best team, but I did pick the Falcons, just saying.
And just because you can spin it doesn't mean you can play in a National Football League game that matters in a playoff situation, Colt, just so you know.
Well, I saw him spin it against the Texas Longhorns.
I know that. Yeah.
I thought that dude should have been
the Texas Longhorns can't play. They ain't playing defense like the Minnesota Vikings. Trust me that.
All right, let me get us back on track. You mentioned the Minnesota Vikings, Jay. They've won 5 straight, but only once have they won by double digits. I've been a little critical of the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think they're as good as their record indicates. I put them at 5th in that power ranking that you guys gave me. I would have put them even lower if you gave me the Ravens and some other teams. The Vikings are for real? Or are they frauds? How far are they going in the playoffs? Are you buying Minnesota Vikings stock? Jay Gruden, go.
I am, because they can get you a lot of different ways. The thing about Minnesota is they're not really great at anything, but they're pretty good at everything. It's just kind of like my golf game. I'm not a great putter, but I can putt. I'm not a great driver of the golf ball, but I can hit it, and I score pretty good. But I'm not an elite player. These guys, their defense have given up 400 yards, I think, 4 of the last 5 games. Sam Darnold's been sacked, 18 to 20 times the last 4 weeks. So they keep winning. That's what it's all about, Justin. You just got to win. Somehow figure out a way to win. Justin Jefferson, Addison is hell of a player, but I got to get the running game going to protect Sam Darnold a little bit. We can't have him dropping back too many times because he's not ready to do that. I think they can compete with anybody in the NFC and beat anybody on their schedule. They can also probably get beat by anybody in the NFL. That's the difference. The really good teams, they're not going to lose to the lower half of the league. Minnesota, they can beat everybody, but they could also lose everybody because they have a few flaws in their game.
All right, so you're selling their stock. Don't act like you're buying stock.
I'm just telling you, if the Vikings go out on Sunday, against anybody, I feel like I'm going to watch a game because I feel like Minnesota has a chance to win. That's all you want as a coach, right? Sam Darnold can't hold on the ball for 9 seconds in the pocket, get a strip sack, and a defense got to tackle better. That's what their strength was. They're not tackling very good right now, and they're not blitzing people like they used to. They got to come back to their attacking style, Flores, and get after people's ass, and then obviously protect the ball in offense.
What makes that so difficult, AQ? Brian Flores dials up these exotic pressures, and he's just, you don't know where it's coming from as an offensive lineman, as a center, as a quarterback of the offensive line. But how do you handle that type of scheme?
Well, it's tough because it all looks the same. I think that's the hardest thing, right? I mean, you and I played together, and we played down in New Orleans, and you face a Dennis Allen defense. The biggest thing, it's like playing Seattle when they had the Legion of Boom. The biggest thing you want to do is get into third and manageable, because if you get into third and manageable, you keep all the exotics out of there, right? The minute they get into 3rd and 7, he's going to get 7 up, and you have no idea what's coming. And it's going to look different every time. You might get 12 third downs, 12 different pressures out of the same look. It's going to be 7 up, and they might bring these two, drop this guy, bring this guy, drop this guy, and bring this guy, right? Then the next one, they're bringing 4 different guys. And the next one, they're bringing all 7. The next one, they're bringing 6. The next one, they're bringing 5 fire zone and dropping into whatever coverage. And, you know, there's just so many different things. So it's just identifying and hoping that your rules can pick up as much as you can. And then you hope that the quarterback knows when he's protected and when he's not protected. That's the biggest thing. When you play a team like Minnesota and you got a guy like Kirk, I'm assuming Kirk's going to be super cerebral. He's going to be super smart. He's going to know when he's protected and when he's not. And he's going to have the guys block the rules, whatever those rules may be. And he's going to know if this guy comes, he's got to get rid of the ball, period. And so I think that's the hardest thing, is you just got to hope that your rules stand up and you go out and just execute.
By the way, real quick, I think he was more conservative the last 2 weeks because he did play Kyler Murray and Caleb Williams. Both those guys can run. And Will Levis, even before that, he could run a little bit. This week with Kirk, he's going to be relentless in his blitzes. I promise you that. A guy that can't move and scramble for first downs, he's going to get after his ass.
He's going to dial it up like he did Aaron Rodgers early in the season.
Exactly right.
Want to win money watching football? With Underdog, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash just by picking higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, like whether or not your team's running back will score a touchdown this weekend. Millions of fans have won billions of dollars on Underdog. Will you be next? Sign up now to get a free pick for your first cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Download the Underdog app or visit UnderdogFantasy.com to get started today.
All right, Colt, put me in the shoes of Kirk Cousins. You mentioned a little bit earlier in the program. You know this is coming from Flores. What's the counterpunch?
I'll put you in the shoes of Kirk Cousins, but first I want to put you in the shoes of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. I talked about a revenge game for Kirk, but you know who knows his game better than anybody? Maybe not Jay, but Jay and Kevin know Kirk's game as good as anybody. They know what his flaws are. I promise you that's going to show up too. Part of this plan is going to be attack Kirk Cousins, take away some of the things that they know he really likes, and make him do the hard things that maybe they felt like he didn't do as good a job of in Minnesota or whatever. I'm just saying it's a great matchup to watch from that standpoint, right? And so, but if you're Kirk and you're going against this defense, AQ nailed it. Here's the way you beat this team is you stay ahead on 1st and 2nd down. You don't get yourself in 3rd and 7+ situations very often, because when that happens, you're holding your breath. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how cerebral you are. Minnesota is the best in the league at creating free runners on the quarterback, and you can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to do that to Kirk Cousins this week.
All right, let's go around and make some predictions. AQ Shipley, kick us off. Who do you got winning this one? Falcons at Minnesota.
I was kind of torn until Jay just brought up a great point. I think he's right on that. I think, you watch this defense and they've struggled the last couple of weeks because they haven't done what they do best, and that is get them into 3rd and long, run the 7 up, and fire it up. Let's turn it up and get everybody after it. And the last couple of weeks, that was a great point that he brought up, and the fact that, you're facing a bunch of mobile quarterbacks. You got a guy that's a statue back there. It's going to be dialed up. I think Minnesota, they're going to dial it up and force the ball out early, and I just don't think Atlanta has enough.
All right, we got one for the Vikings. Colt?
Yeah, I think I'm taking the Vikings too. I mean, listen, I think they're a better football team than what a lot of people give them credit for. They've won 10 games already this year, and they know how to win tight games. I think they're too much. I think they got the best receiver in the game, Justin Jefferson, and when everything breaks down, find him. Right? I think Aaron Jones realizes, like, hey, I just don't want to lose this for us. Like, protect the football. Get us the extra yards when you can, but this game is going to be about protecting the football. And I think that Kevin O'Connell and this Minnesota Vikings team is keeping up in the NFC North. They got to go get one this week against Atlanta, and they will.
The king of the North, Jay Gruden, who do you have?
NFC North versus NFC South. This is a no-brainer, people. Take the North. The Vikings are physical. They're going to beat it. They're going to beat them. Flores will dial up some blitzes for Kirk. Kirk's a little indecisive right now. He's a little unsure. They got to get him going some quick screens, get his rhythm going, but that's not going to happen. Sam Darnold, protect the ball. Aaron Jones, protect the ball. Vikings come out with the victory.
God, we're doing it again. Clean sweep, Minnesota Vikings. I got the Vikings as well. This is like when the SEC would play any other conference in a bowl game. You go with the SEC. You go with the NFC North. The Vikings are going to win this game. So again, the Falcons are probably the good money in this one.
I can take the Falcons if you want. You want me to take the Falcons?
Give us the pitch if you were to take the Falcons. How can they win this game?
I'll tell you why I'm taking the Falcons, because the Viking defense is leaking oil right now. They're not what they used to be early in the season. They're lost their punch, man. I think Atlanta's going to come out and run the outside zones like AQ likes, man. They're going to get B-Rob the ball. We're going to pound them. We're going to pound them. And then
Gruden, can I get a little skull? Can we get a little skull from you today?
We might even find Kyle Pitts, might be in the building, and we're going to throw it to Kyle Pitts and win the football game.
And Drake London.
He's got to be more disciplined in his routes.
You got a black shirt on today, AQ. There we go.
Drake London runs like...
Yeah, Gruden, you look intimidated, Gruden. You look intimidated. Look at this.
He runs like he's a drum major sometimes, straight up. I mean, come on, man. Get your pads down. Come in and out of cuts. Jesus.